Hi there again. The first category in our 7 categories for Time on Our Hands is called Special Memories. There's some memories of trucks and companies who are no longer with us, and reminders of what used to be in the way of tarp loads and big trucks, and special people who owned them who are no longer with us in many cases, and companies that no longer, whose colours no longer grace the highways of Australia. But there's a couple of special, very special memories in there, but they're all special, none less than the others. Just most of these photos represent some significant periods in our history, and the experiences Dean and I have shared on the road and around the traps, and I'm sure many people will be able to associate with them. The next category is entitled Golden Oldies. Some of these trucks are still on the road in their current shape. Trucks like John Walters Dodge with the 4 tiers of wool, and the Red Diamond with 3 tiers of wool. They're no longer on the road, but the Dodge of John Walters is in use occasionally as a local truck. Michael Collins's Superliner is still on the road. The collection of Max in one of the early frames has the truck that was previously mine in front of it, and the fellow who bought it has a collection of different models of Max. It's very impressive. And then we've got some super cool old memories of Main Nicholas and Australian Blue Metal, the famous O'Neill family who had quarries all over Australia and helped open up the outback. And of course Matty Harkin standing beside his R700. He's an identity in our industry and a treasured friend. And did we just go on from there? H.H. Chadwick, they became Toll Holdings when they affiliated with AF Toll many years ago. And of course we've got the collection of B models out at Alice Springs in 2010, I think. And the memories just roll on. I could talk for hours on this item here, but we'll let the photos speak for themselves, and I'm sure many of you will remember what you're looking at.
Hi everybody, Dean Croak here, coming to you from Boston in the United States. It's been an absolute pleasure working with Bob putting together this production of Time on Our Hands. Looking at all of these pictures, it brings back so many fond memories of my childhood, growing up with my dad in Crookle, New South Wales, and running up and down the Hume in our 1418 Mercedes-Benz, which is here in the video. These days I've got a nice 379 Peterbilt called the Grumpy Pete, which is featured in the last section of the video. But it's been a great pleasure. I'm so proud of everybody in Australia and all of the wonderful things you've achieved in the trucking industry. Certainly very unique in the world of transport. Well done, everybody.
Many of the outback legends speak for themselves. The lead shot of Barry Sky's famous B model. He was a well-known operator across the Nullarbor from Sydney to Perth back in the days before the road was sealed. With all these outback legends, they represent various areas: northwest Queensland, western New South Wales, the Nullarbor, the Northern Territory, wherever, and of course the Pilbara and the mining parts of Western Australia and far north Queensland, the old South Road from Adelaide to Darwin, and the track from Brisbane to Darwin before it was sealed, and of course famous identities like Keith Milgate from Trangie and the Ballards from Longreach, and the list is endless. But they're all very, very important memories. The quad road train that Pedro drives for recharge, that's a modern day one, and there's some olden ones here, and there's both the past and present represented in all our categories on this video. So I hope that adds character to it all, and there's certainly a lot of stuff here I remember, and was lucky enough and fortunate enough to know most of these people and their equipment and where they went and that sort of thing. So yeah, happy memories all round. The category of classic restos speaks for itself. Very hard to represent in pictures the true beauty and the amount of effort and care and attention to detail and absolute persistence that's gone into restoring some of these great old trucks. They're a credit to their original owners that they lasted long enough to be restored or in good enough shape, and they're just totally you're totally swept away when you see them in real life. But anyway, they speak for themselves, and they bring lots of enjoyment when they go to different shows and events around the place. Looking forward to seeing big heaps of them in Alice Springs this year for the catch-up reunion, and I'm sure they'll do us all proud. They certainly do themselves proud, both the owners and the people who worked so hard to restore them. Category of Aussie cab overs. There's some interesting things here. The cab overs are less and less prevalent at some stages in our history. There seems to be a resurgence in them at the moment because of extra capacity available with some of the new trailer setups we have. But there's a mixture here of modern stuff and past memories and some very interesting photos indeed. But cab overs they're not a dying thing in Australia, but there's many European brands coming into the market. So some of the old classics I've shared here, the Atkinsons and the cab over Kenworths and the Scanias and the Fodens and whatever, they certainly represent some interesting eras in road transport in Australia. So the rest of the images can speak for themselves. Hancock's DCO International's an interesting one, and of course the Boods Fodens, they're famous, and so there's some memories here too. Not everyone in these images is still in, not all the companies are still as they were then. So past and present in all the categories, and I hope that adds to the interest. High, wide and heavy speaks for itself in a way, but it represents past and present again with some interesting logging photos and some interesting shots of some of the bigger combinations now available and allowed in Australia. They certainly don't run out of ideas, and of course there's some old chargers here like the mate with the 3 loads of logs on up in North Queensland, and the old Vintage Atkinson from Main Nicholas. These are all treasured memories. And Mally's from North Queensland, who sold out many years ago. He was renowned for big loads of produce and getting them there on time and in good shape. He had some wonderful men working for him. And of course Kirby Maxwell with his tow truck, he's known for doing magic things. And poor old Comma being loaded with a log by the D7 at a little truck with a big load, so that certainly qualifies for high, wide and heavy, as does the next frame and all the ones after. We'll leave some of it to your imagination and move on. The last category in in our Time on Our Hands video is entitled Super Cool. This is mainly a representation of modern day bling and how some beautiful trucks are appearing on our roads for some very professional and successful people, very devoted too, because they turn up at a lot of industry events and support people in times of sadness or great sadness in a few cases. And and of course there's a couple of representations of past glory here too. That just incredible how beautiful some of these trucks look and how well they're kept on a day-to-day basis, running all over Australia really, everywhere from the Nullarbor to the South Road to North Queensland to up and down the Hume Highway. It really doesn't matter where they run. If they're super cool, they're super cool, and they seem to be that way all the time. So the names represented on the doors and are important tributes, and the photographers who had their identified their photos deserve a great thank you from us all. Enjoy these. They're all very special vehicles, and the video would have been a lot longer if I'd included a lot more, but we tried to pick out the best of the bunch. Catch you later.